and the European markets altogether in the last week. They have been on a winning streak, and a lot has to do with the end of the quarter effect, wherein the companies open their books and a lot of the investors reopen their positions and invest in the market, which is why we've seen a winning streak for the last 6 days in the major benchmark indices, with Dow Jones posting 300 points increase in the last session. Some of it has started to wean off in today's session, in today's early session, and this comes off as investors shook off all the effect of SVB collapse, Silicon Valley Bank collapse. But there was another news of OPEC cutting its output, which could spike the inflation and overall dampen the investor sentiments. But overall, the investors seem to have shaken that off, and yes, those points have, and they have more focus on the upcoming interest rate hikes. The dollar has sort of shed its gain in the last couple of sessions, losing against currencies in a relative sense, against euro, GBP, and yen. That is after the news of after the indicator showed that there's 125 basis point rate hike expected in the next month, and then afterwards there's a pause before the next one, which sort of gives a breathing space to the investors in the market. Across in the European side, we've seen pound on a winning streak, which is the top of the news today. The currency pair crossed its 9-month high, the highest level since June, on the back of the USD depreciating, and on the news of the Bank of England increasing, planning a 50 basis points rate hike in the upcoming months, which has overall strengthened the GBP.
So what we've been seeing in emerging markets is generally a mixed bag reaction to the considered overextended dollar, perhaps. Looking at one of the impacts for a moment, Kamala Harris is on an Africa trip at the moment, starting in Ghana, going to Zambia and Tanzania. This is the latest of quite a wide variety of US officials going to Africa. This seemingly stems from China and their influence in the region. What we have just seen a couple of weeks ago is China completing their first deal for LNG, actually in yuan, with the UAE. And China is holding discussions with a number of African and Middle Eastern countries, trying to actually extend this process. And this is kind of a general shift, or attempted general shift, away from the dollar that we've been seeing from China as they attempt to kind of move the world away from its dependence on the dollar. So looking at key trends for a moment, there's several things that we are looking towards in the coming weeks. First of all, in Nigeria, there has been a halt to the Naira redesign policy. The Supreme Court stepped in, so we're interested to see what that is going to have an impact like on the economy. Secondly, looking at Kenya, we are seeing inflation at around 9.5%, and the currency at parallel last month also hit all-time lows. So given the central bank intervention, we're also very interested in that market to see how everything will react. Looking at South Africa as well, the IMF stated last month that the country was stagnating with growth expected at 0.3%. It's going to be also quite interesting to see how that pans out throughout the year, considering we were seeing about 2% growth last year.